Okay, so it's been about half an hour. If you can see, it started to kind of haze over on the top of the tiles. You're going to need a sponge. Any sponge will do. Just don't use one of, like the kitchen sponge with the abrasive one. You can use those, just don't use the abrasive side. You're going to need a bucket of water. The more water, the better, because if you have only a small amount of water, it gets really grouty really quickly. So we want to get our sponge wet, but we want it to be really squeezed out. We don't want it a really soggy sponge at all. We want most of that water squeezed out. And we're going to run across the top of our tiles. The bigger the sponge, the better, because then you can turn it and do it again with a clean side, and you get even more coming off. And then you've got our rinse. And you can see it's starting to come together. Now I've found if your grout's too wet and you do this part too early, instead of smoothing over like it's doing here, it kind of, the grout sticks to your sponge and it starts to take off some of your grout from between the cracks. So if it's doing that, then leave it for longer to dry and then come back to it. I know it's very tempting just to get on with it because you want to see your finished piece, and I'm a very impatient person and I've done that many times too quickly. So try and let it dry a bit first if it's not doing that. Okay, your centre, you want to make sure that our mirror is going to fit. So you can try out your mirror, which I did actually a minute ago, and it fit fine, but I'm just going to take off some of that inside grout just by smoothing it around. And again. And you find you won't get it perfectly clean this time round, but it will smooth out the top of your piece. And then any of these bits that are left on top, just making it hazy, will come off absolutely fine once it's dry. If you've got any bits that you see that you've missed, you might still have enough wet grout left to do it. Put a bit extra on, or use some of your excess to make a tiny bit more up to fill it. I mean, you probably won't notice anyway if there's some tiny bits once it's all finished, but if you're a perfectionist, then that's how you do that. Okay, and then you're going to want to do the same around your edges as well to neaten those up. You can see that actually. And again, you might mess up your top when you're holding it to do your edges. Okay, so pretend I've done the whole thing and leave that to dry again. And then once it's completely dry, you can give it a really good clean and it's going to be lovely. Your mirror, so you might want to, oh, it's a bit wet, it's probably the wrong idea for me to do it now. You probably want it to dry a bit more. Check that it fits, mine fits. You've got some sticky tabs if you're doing the mirror. So you want to put quite a few of those on the back of your mirror, but only put the mirror on once it's absolutely completely dry and you've cleaned it and it's all ready to go. You'll also have a little hook device as well to put on the top of your mirror for hanging as well. But there we go, that's how we do it. I'll try and get a photo of it all nicely finished as well once it's dried. Okay, my mirror base is all dry with the grout. It's all cleaned off. It's looking beautiful. Your water that you use to do your sponging, don't pour that down your sink. Find a little corner in the garden to tip that in somewhere, because again, you don't want to put what is basically concrete mix down your plumbing. Okay, I've got my mirror. I've put some sticky pads on the back of it, and I'm going to get it as centered as I can. And then give it a good push down. Make sure it's well secured. And a little polish. And it's all finished. Lovely.